From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production, the NFL Bet Exchange, hosted by my man, Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, Jeff Dawson.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod himself, Mr. Jeff Dawson, and this is the NFL Bet Exchange, and this is week 10 of the NFL as well, too. So how you doing today, sir? How's everything going on that side of the country?
The sun's out. Woke up this morning, my feet hit the ground. Someone said something funny to me last week, and I guess I was on the man's wake-up list, so that was always a good sign. So we got 24 hours to make a difference. Week 10, I was going back to last year's notes. I think I had a high watermark of plus 22 or 23 games over 500 and just haven't got any traction. That's just what the NFL is all about. So hopefully here at the dead halfway point that I can start to climb.
Well, you know, second half of the season, it seems like this is when we really start cooking. You know what I mean? We're really trying to figure things out here in the first 9 weeks of the league and everything like that. And I could say that this year, once again, is a whole lot of parity as we kick into the first 10 weeks of the season. But now we're going to be at the stage of the season where pretenders reveal themselves and contenders reveal themselves as well, too. And then we'll have the playoff race, the playoff chase, and, you know, it gets really, really fun. Now we got some real theater to this thing. And you know what? Don't discount teams that are 4-5 right now, and don't overrate teams that are 6-2 right now. That's the whole thing. And by the time we get to the nitty gritty of everything, we'll exactly know what's going on with this. But week 9, it seemed like it was a 14 game week. It seemed like we kind of got back to business. You went even last week, 7-7. Now you're 66-70 and 2 on the year. Me, I was able to put a little bit of a dent in my 10-game deficit. Now I'm 64-72 for the year. So it looks like that we are in position to put ourselves back on the green side by the next few weeks if we can get ourselves some winning records here in the next few weeks as well, too. But this looks like it's going to be a good week for that as well, too, Jeff. And let's go ahead and jump into our first game that I have here for us, and it's going to be the Thursday night football game. You got a Panthers team that's 1-7 right now going against a Bears team that's 2-7. The Bears coming here as a 3.5-point favorite, over under of 40. And you have this Panthers team that's just struggled all throughout the season. They did win after their bye week and everything, and pretty much you kind of had the sentiment that this team could probably start rolling at that point, but then they hit another bump in the road. And the craziest part about that game was, Jeff, is that the Panthers actually outgained the Colts. They did much better than the Colts in the game, but the problem was the 3 turnovers that Bryce Young made. And that just was the killer of the game. And, you know, I know people want to get to pointing fingers at Frank Reich, things of that nature, but let's all keep it real. The Panthers are a work in progress. We said this since day one, and their roster just isn't the type of roster that you can say is going to be a formidable roster for a great quarterback in waiting in Bryce Young. I know a lot of people have what they have to say about Bryce, but I think Bryce is really in a position to where he can say that, you know what, it's a learning curve for this situation. I don't have the best receivers, but you know what, things are getting better because guys like Adam Thielen are having a career year. You know, Hayden Hurst is doing a good job as well, too. He just hasn't got enough from his young wide receivers like Mingo, who they thought was going to be big time this year, but he's still learning the job. And you know what? The biggest thing about Bryce is that he didn't get a running game. Let's keep it real. He just didn't get a running game. And I think that when it comes down to that, you know, it could be very helpful for him moving forward. And when you look into this game right here, both these teams are exactly the same. But the Bears are more talented, and the Bears really depend on if they're going to have Justin Fields playing. The number says Justin Fields is playing. I had this same number as well, too, but at a 2.5 when I opened up my line, Jeff. I think this week, the Panthers, after having a game like they just had, they're going to come back and they're going to be much better this week. This is going to be a very close game, and it's going to actually be one of our better games this week as well, too, because I just really feel like both these teams are really tired of losing. So they're going to bring their best effort on 3 days of rest. But I truly do feel that the Panthers are going to be really pissed off come Thursday because they played a good enough game to win. They just made too many mistakes. So I'm taking the Panthers with the plus 3.5. Jeff, what are your thoughts and who are you rolling with in this game?
Got a lot to piggyback on here. I'll try to keep it short. What's not fair for Bryce Young is that they're obviously now going to compare him to what's going on with CJ Stroud. And you have to look at both sides of the field. CJ Stroud has two wide receivers in Nico Collins and Tank Dell that can separate, that they can get away from defenders. They have a veteran tight end with Dalton Schultz. Okay. Now you look at the Panthers, they don't have any of those wide receivers that can get any separation. His only target is Adam Thielen. So when you watch the two games and the two quarterbacks, it's like death by 10,000 paper cuts with Bryce Young. It's, 6 in and out, 7 in and out, where CJ Stroud is able to stretch the field and throw the ball deeper down the field. And you talked about last week, one of our plays at ECSI Action Parlay on Sunday was the Panthers, and not one but two pick sixes put them in a spot where we knew that they couldn't come back. Conspiracy theory here. Bears own the Panthers' number one spot, their first pick this year. And the thought process initially is, well, if the Panthers win this game, the Panthers now are 2-7 and the Bears are 2-8. If these two would tie at the end of the year, then they would own the tiebreaker there. So again, I followed you. I took the Panthers plus the 3.5. I don't think they just cover. I think they win outright. And if I'm the Bears, I've seen enough from Badgett. I think he can make some good throws. I tell Justin Fields very simply, hey, we're going to sit you one more week. That gives us an extra 10 days. You come back on the following Sunday. Why don't you just grab the clipboard, keep the headset on, and we'll see you, 2 Sundays from now. So I took the Panthers plus 3.5. I think they win the game outright, Pops.
All right. I like the thinking there. We move forward. Let's go ahead and jump into the Frankfurt game. And we have the Colts 4-5. We have the Patriots who are 2-7. Plus 1.5 point spread over under 43.5. Let's keep it real though. The Patriots will probably have a big home advantage in a sense. This is going to really be like if the game was at Gillette, because if European fans have looked at who's been the most successful team over the last 20 years and who would they pair themselves with, it would be the Patriots, just like a lot of Americans pair themselves with. I don't want to name just any soccer team, but I know that FC Barcelona or something of that nature out there that they could, I'm just using that reference as, how we have people that attach themselves to that soccer team. And so I know that in this type of sport, you got people over there that have attached themselves to the Patriots because that's who they see as the successful team. That's who has all the storylines, blase. But we're 5 years removed from that in reality. So, the Patriots are now the aftermath of what the Patriots used to be. And it's really showing up on tape every single week nowadays. Now we have the fire Bill, or is Bill going to be fired at the end of the year? Rumors going around here. Jeff, can you go ahead and give us some insight on that, since this is your local area and everything like that? And then let us know exactly where you're going with in this game as well, too. And I'll follow up after you go ahead and kick this thing off, because this is in your area.
The collapse for Caleb Chance are back. Washington came in. Great game. Listen, I've said it all along. I'll say it again. Howell is the better quarterback over Mac Jones, but that's for another show. The first time in a while, and you know this from last year, the year before, I've been touting this for a long time. There was rumblings of Mr. Vrabel from Tennessee, who's starting to not get happy over there, coming over here to New England next year, because of the rumors that Bill might be tied to the Commanders next year. Based upon compensation, we then could flip and give the Titans some compensation back for Mr. Vrabel. And the fact is that rumor has it that they've already given Gerard Mayo the go-ahead that he was going to be the next coach. I don't believe it. This team is dysfunction junction. Mac just, when we need it, can't make the throws. It was a perfect ending on Sunday. Throws an interception to Juju Smith-Schuster, who was probably one of Bill's worst signings. A guy that's knee is toast. He couldn't get separated from you and I if we were covering him. Yet for the same amount of money, he could have had Jacoby Myers. So the positive is they're playing a Jekyll and Hyde team and every other week team with this Indianapolis coach, as we talked about in the first game. Box the wire in Carolina, now jump on a plane, head to Frankfurt. I took the Pats plus 1.5. Listen, wouldn't be surprised if the Pats win 20-17 here. Wouldn't be surprised if the Pats lost 30-3. There's that much turmoil going on. We can't get to the end of this season and which quarterback we're drafting, Pops.
Oh, man, Jeff, I totally hear you on that. And I just truly feel that with the Patriots right now, you have a team that is not used to being mediocre anymore. A franchise, a fan base, they're not used to being mediocre. This is really one of the greatest runs in sports because every great team has had a point where, okay, well, some of our best players are hurt this year. We didn't even make the playoffs. Golden State Warriors a few years back. You know what I mean? I'm just using them as a great example of that. The Patriots consistently stayed great for 20 years. This was the first time we've ever seen this in the NFL, probably since the Don Shula coached Miami Dolphins. So there's expectations for this team, and those expectations are going to last for a decade. Let's just all keep it real. And I truly do feel that a team like the Indianapolis Colts they're really an enigma. They know that if they would have been, this is where I keep saying to myself that they had probably the worst luck ever draft night, because when you really look at it, Indianapolis was really supposed to get one of these prized quarterbacks, but they decided to go with a guy that they see as a project, but his ceiling's so high that you have to take a chance because they're thinking Cam Newton. They're thinking Patrick Mahomes. They're thinking an instant impact. And somewhat, Richardson was an instant impact in a sense, in an exciting offensive way. But then the defense is not backing this up. And so it makes it really tough because every week it seemed like he was in a comeback situation to the point to where he busted his shoulder. Now he's out for the year. You go with Gardner Minshew. We all get excited because we know Gardner can play football really well, and he plays the game so well. And you know that we all have our heart of hearts to his old college coach who, absolutely adored him as well too in the process. So, he goes out last week and he was absolutely dreadful against the Panthers. Luckily enough, though, they were able to pull off the win because they played great defense. I feel like the Patriots play good enough defense to the point to where this game really does suit them well, even though this Patriots team has only scored over 24 points once in a game this year to win a game. Have scored 17 points 4 times this season, Jeff. And then they've had games where they've been shut out and only scored 3 points. So this offense is really inept. We know that it is, but I think this is a very good week for their running game. And I think with Zeke Elliott kind of getting recharged now, this will probably be something that's going to be very significant for this team moving forward in this game and for their next games coming up. So I do like the Patriots with the plus 105 in this spot. I think they should go ahead and win this game because they'll have a great home crowd with them. Bill Belichick just had to go ahead and, shut down the media real quick about how he does not care about what's going to go down at the end of the year. He's only worried about what's happening next week. And that's why Bill Belichick, regardless, hate him or love him, is one of the best to ever do it because he knows how to play this game correctly. And I know that a lot of people are probably hoping for the end of Bill Belichick, but Kraft is a loyal person. So they're going to really sit down and discuss this thing at the end of the year to make sure that they do it the right way, regardless of anything. But let's keep it to where we're at right now. We're in week 10. That's all our only focus right now. And the focus for me is the Patriots winning over in Frankfurt and getting themselves a signature win for the season. That's why I'm picking them this week. But you know what, though? We got to say something about this Colts team, that they are some gamers. They try. They're really out there scrapping and scraping. And you just know that if their quarterback situation was different, they would be right there with the Jacksonville Jaguars competing for the AFC South. It's that simple. But they're still in the playoff mix as well, too. So, much kudos to the coach. Much kudos to the coach. So let's move forward and get into our next game, which is going to be the Texans and the Bengals. Texans coming in here 4-4, Jeff. Bengals are 5-3. Bengals 4 in a row, last 5 out of 6. Start the season 1-3. But, Jeff, I know I be having my little words and all my stuff, but I wasn't dogging the Bengals that much this year. I did tell you, slow cookers, slow start. I knew it was coming because Burrow was hurt during preseason. They couldn't get anything together, so scratch out September. They weren't a play in September. Better, sorry. I know everybody were mouthing off about Burrow being sorry and blah 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 blah. But the thing was, they weren't a play in September. They even pretty much told you they weren't a play in September. Most of their key players were hurt, and they were trying to be carried by their defense while Joe was recovering, but they couldn't get into that situation because Joe Mixon couldn't get off. So here we are now. They get into October, they get a bye, they get fresh, and then they get good. And then they play against the San Francisco 49ers in a measure game. That's what we call those. Let's measure where your talent's at right now. And they blew the doors off of the San Francisco 49ers, proving to everybody that they're playing in the toughest division in football, that's in the toughest conference in football. And that's why they were able to win that game the way that they won that game. Now they come back the next week in a game where it's a do-or-die situation. This is a playoff-like eliminator, in a sense, with them and the Bills, because they could be putting themselves in or out of the playoffs with a game like this, because I'm talking tiebreakers. And pretty much the Bengals went ahead and delivered again. They were able to hold off the Bills, but you knew they were going to win the game. They played that well. They took care of their business, and Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Boyd are always going to get all the credit. Joe Mixon. But at the end of the day, this defense is really the star of the show, in my opinion. Hubbard, Hendrickson, Pratt, these guys can play. They're really, really good, and they really do step to the plate every single week, week in and week out. They probably are the most underrated defense in the most defensive division of them all. And, that's something that's incredible, that they're playing at that high level on both sides of the ball right now. So it's really tough for me to say, okay, let's go ahead and trust the Texans this week, who just came off a miraculous win against a bad Bucs team who's lost their last, 4 out of 5, Jeff, or 4 in a row. And they're not playing really good football right now. They got an inconsistent quarterback. And really, you got saved by the hairs of your chin. But let's keep it real. C.J. Stroud had a performance that proved that he is the best quarterback out of this draft. And we kind of knew this, but the maturity issues was my thing. I knew he was the talent. He had the talent to do this. But at the end of the day, is it about him or is it about the team? And we'll see this week if he's really, truly the leader that we want him to be. That was a great individual stat game for his team to win that game. If you're a fantasy owner who has CJ Stroud, you were doing backflips. You know what I mean? But let's see if he's really a great leader. A great leader will be able to win a big-time game and keep your team in playoff contention this week. I don't think that he can win this game. I think the Bengals are too hot at this moment. They're that much better than the Texans right now. And the Texans have proven that they're not that great of a road team either. Yeah, they got a good win over Jacksonville, but that's a division opponent. They don't do much here, Jeff. I got the Bengals actually running away with this thing double digits. And when we do Sunday, I'm probably going to put them at an 8.5 or 9 on my adjusted lines to get some plus money off this deal. Your thoughts, and who do you have winning this game?
I followed your lead. I bought the hook. I have the Bengals minus 6.5 as well. If you're buying stock, as we did last year, right around this time with the 49ers and Bengals, this is a stock you definitely want to buy into. Joe looks healthy. The one thing to keep your mind on, just keep an eye on, I should say, is Chase came down bad on his back, and he sent out a tweet yesterday, made it sound almost like that he will not be playing. Now, I'm just saying that to us and the viewers on Tuesday. There's been no official word that he's questionable, mispractice, or I haven't seen anything yet. But, I'm just looking at the advanced schedule, and they play next Thursday at Baltimore. So they could actually come into this game and say, hey, Jamar, do us a favor. Let's get that back healthy because we got a quick turnaround and try to muscle it through with T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and Irv Smith. The difference between the Bengals and the Bills is Joe Mixon and the running game. Cincinnati knows how to run the ball. When they need to run the ball, they can move the chains. Buffalo has James Cook. They don't know how to use him. They got Latavius Murray. They don't know how to use him. And we've been talking for years until the Bills figure out how to move the chains correctly. Josh Allen can't throw the ball 45 times and expect to win. 3rd and 1s, 3rd and 2s. Now they're trying the tush push, and it's a team going and spiraling in the wrong direction. So I like the Bengals here. I think it'll be a close first half. I don't want to say the Bengals will get caught peeking ahead, as we've seen what Stroud can do. I'll be interested to see how he does with the Cincinnati Bengals front seven, but I get the Bengals minus 6.5 pops.
All right. But we'll talk about the Bills I'll get more into the Bills when we get into their portion of the show for the Monday Night Football and everything. All right. Let's talk about one more before we take our commercial break, and that's going to be the Saints and the Vikings, both 5-4 this week. Both are, if the playoffs were to start today, both would be in the playoffs as well too. You got a spread of +2.5, over under 41. And you know what? Let's go ahead before we get into this. Shout out to MF and Josh, MF and Dobbs. Jeez Louise, man. What a performance. What a way to win a game. And that was what I would call a Steve DeBerg special right there. They used to call Steve DeBerg up on Tuesday for a team that needed a quarterback immediately, maybe for a week or two. You call Steve DeBerg up. Steve DeBerg comes and plays for you Sunday. You win the game by 6-7 points, and then he's cut on Tuesday. But Josh Dobbs is fortunate enough to where he's still going to be on the team for the rest of the year. But Jeff knows what I'm talking about. The old Steve DeBerg special right there that they did, and that's who he's looking like a lot now as well too. Kind of gives me little shades of Vince Evans as well too, the former LA Raider. So he's a gamer. He's a guy that really was able to get the team behind him very quickly. But you know what though, the other guy, Jared Hall, he looked like he was going to have a big day as well too before they knocked him out the game, because y'all got to remember he is the quarterback after Zach Wilson, who was really good at BYU as well too. You know what I mean? That's why the kid was picked in the 5th round. And, he knew the playbook a little bit better. But, Atlanta's just a bad team in general. So that's why those things didn't work out for him. But this game right here, the Saints are really a different type of group this year, Jeff. They're weird. They win the first 2 games, then they go and lose 4 out of 5. Now they've won 2 games in a row, okay? And they seem to be picking on the bad teams, and then they're not doing anything against the better teams, the good teams. You know what I mean? And I just really feel like it's the offense that's so inept that keeps this defense so active, and they keep them on the field a little bit too long. So you don't really know how these games are going to go with the Saints, because Derek Carr really does not have the trust of that group. You can see it week in and week out that they don't like him. And they don't really care for their coach that much either. They just are talented players that have been put together in, an array. You're calling for Jameis Winston every week, and it seems like Taysom Hill is the guy that keeps putting you over the top, putting you ahead in games. So they're kind of stuck with the quarterback that they have, and you can't really trust a team like that. But in this situation right here, They've been playing some of their better football as a group after losing to Jacksonville the way that they did. Minnesota is coming in here as a team that has won 4 in a row, but the 4 in a row are against teams that they were supposed to beat. And, they're a pretty good road team this year as well, too, but they're a bad home team. They got 1 win at home. That's it, Jeff. 1 win at home. They're 4-1 on the road. So it's hard for me to trust Minnesota in the spot with, Josh Dobbs, second week out. You're going to get some much better defense. Well, Atlanta could argue a little bit and say they might be right there with the Saints, but let's keep it real. The Saints got better playmakers on their defense that can impact this game. So what I'm going to do here, Jeff, I'm going to go ahead and take the Saints with the minus 145 to win this game straight up. I don't trust them to cover in this game, but I do trust them to win this game late. Even though Minnesota's won 4 in a row coming in, they haven't really had to play against tough teams. They won games that they were supposed to win. So now they got a game that shows exactly who they are as a team. It doesn't matter if Kirk Cousins or Justin Jefferson's here. Let's see who you are as a team, because you guys seem you have the next man up mentality. So let's see if you really truly have the next man up mentality. I like the Saints. I'm taking them minus 145 because I think that this game is them winning by at least a touchdown or better.
As you started the conversation here, hats off to Joshua Dobbs. Think of it this way: you're in Cleveland for the preseason. You know their playbook, obviously. You get traded a week before the season starts. So now you got to learn the Arizona playbook. And then on Tuesday, you get traded to Minnesota and have to learn their playbook. So 3 playbooks in one season. The guy's a genius. He gets called into action, not only keeps him competitive, but finds a way to win the game late. And which could actually speed up the recovery process of Justin Jefferson. That's for a whole nother show. Their bye week is 13. So I don't know if they wait to 13 to see what their record is. He's playing for a contract, doesn't need to get hurt. He's done everything that he needs to do. I personally think we knew Kirk Cousins wasn't going to be there next year. My gut tells me they'll make an offer to Jefferson. I don't think it's the money that he wants, and they'll build around TJ Hawkinson. They'll build around Jordan Addison, and they'll figure out the quarterback situation. But my true number was Saints minus a half with the 38. Actually, a 39. The public has pushed it to 2.5 with a 41. I bought the hook. I took the Vikings to +3. I think the first team to 21 or 23 wins this game. I think the resurgent Vikings, Joshua Dobbs, the potential of Jefferson coming back in a couple of weeks, I think takes them over to the promised land. Not sold on check down Charlie and Derek Carr. Olave, who I love Olave, Michael Thomas, who he is what he is in Kamara, and then, of course, the circus with Taysom Hill. But give me the Vikings plus the 3. I like them to cover, but deep down, I'm really rooting for them to win and get to 6-4 Pops.
Right. You like me last week with them in Atlanta. You know what I mean? Just the same exact thought process, Hey, you know what? These guys are playing good football as a team. Let's not worry about the stars. They're playing good football as a team. Let's go ahead and bet the team. But you know what? Funny thing, before we go to commercial, Jeff, I was looking at my early numbers. I do my early odds on Sunday, and I always tag Jeff on them as well, too. I had the Saints as a +4.5, as a -4.5 coming in here. So Vikings a +4.5 at home, just because that's how I felt like they're going to set up the line. And the way that bettors think, they probably will push this line to 4.5 by the time we get to kickoff. I just got that feeling, because you guys got to know how injury reports work, and we don't really get the set line, guys, until Friday. This is an early line. This is an early idea. But usually, as me and Jeff have told you guys for years, the early line is really always the correct line. So it is what it is at the end of the day. So we'll be back. You guys stay tuned. This is the NFL Bet Exchange with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod himself, Mr. Jeff Dawson, and we will be right back to you.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we're back with the NFL Bet Exchange with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod himself, Mr. Jeff Dawson. So let's go ahead and jump into our next game that I have up here for us, and that's going to be the Packers and the Steelers, two NFL fraternities, in a sense, two establishments, you know what I mean? Because there's teams in the NFL, but then there's establishments in the NFL as well, too. And both these teams take that right. And we all both know that they did see each other in their last Super Bowls as well, too, with the Packers being victorious that day. And the only Super Bowl at Jerry's World. That's wild. Jerry's only got one Super Bowl there. He only got one Super Bowl. I think they've done 3 in New Orleans since then. And like at least 2 in Miami and 2 in Tampa since then. So that just goes to show us that they didn't like Arlington that much with the Super Bowl committee. So, you know, y'all in the Arizona category of things. It's terrible when Houston gets the game before you guys did again. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. But Packers, Steelers, always fun. Always a game that really, you know, you can really toss it up every time these guys play each other because it always seems like it's the same scenario here. But this time around, you probably got the worst quarterback matchup that these guys had since the 80s in playing each other. You know what I mean? Because you look at it, Kenny Pickens is a guy that is just average at best. He's just playing for the Steelers. You know what I mean? If he's on any other team in the NFL right now, he will probably be a liability. But with the Steelers, with the good running game that he has there and the great coaching of Mike Tomlin and then the great receiver scores as well too, they can really hide all those flaws that he does have. And then you have that defense. TJ Watt is by far the defensive player of the year right now. Nobody can really even question that because TJ Watt really does affect offenses big time. And he truly, I swear, this is when you know a guy is really great at being a defensive player. When he can really go ahead and turn the defense into the true star of the team, but really be the reason why we're always in games. And it's because the pressure he brings on every single snap. And the guy's just amazing. And he's such a playmaker. You know what I mean? And I just, you know, I was a defensive guy. So, you know, you just get excited when you can see a guy do that on the defensive end. I only seen a few guys do this, and one of them was LT. And, you know, when you can have the LT magic out there on the defensive side, it's a special thing because you don't have to have the greatest offense. And, you know, that's what the Steelers have dealt with this year, straight up. Then you have a Packers team that we don't know who they are. We really don't because they play a different style, seems like every week. One week they're passing a lot. The next week they're running a lot. Then there's a week where Jordan Love is just getting sacked a lot or, you know, and it's just, I looked at their scores, Jeff, and I said to myself, this team's not that far away. They could easily be 5-3 right now. They've lost some very close games. They've won some very close games. But does that mean this team is really good? Are they really bad? They're just really middling. And when you're middling, you don't really know what they're going to bring to the table on Sunday. I like the way that they approached the Rams game. And we can both agree that the Rams probably do have a better offensive scheme than the Steelers do in reality. And the Packers kept that in check easily. And see, that's the thing that keeps me coming back to the Packers in a sense, is that the Packers have a defense, Jeff. And so pretty much what I'm doing here is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be very, very moody, very frank, very different this week. I'm going to go polar opposite of what they're really saying, because when you tell me it's a three-point spread, and I know that I set this game up on my odds a little bit differently to where it favored Pittsburgh to 6.5, you're telling me that you don't trust Pittsburgh that much, or there's some type of injury going on that we haven't heard about yet. Hand me the Packers as the good news only dog bet of the week at plus 130. There you go. Right there. The Packers going to Pittsburgh. They get themselves a big win. They shake the card a little bit. They put themselves at 4-5. They put a little bit more theater on this AFC playoff race. Jeff, what are your thoughts, and who do you have winning this game?
I was a big Pickett fan. I thought you'd see the emergence of Pickett this year. Pickett to Pickens, who had one catch last week and was very, very upset at the end of that game. The return of Deontay Johnson, his binky, who had a big, big game. Pat Frymouth still on the IR. Mike Tomlin, TJ Watt. If the playoffs started today, Pops, every team in the AFC North would be in the playoffs right now. And you and I spoke in August. I said, hands down, no debate, the AFC North is the most competitive division in football. In comes a Green Bay team. Christian Watson is softer than a newborn baby's diaper. I have just lost all respect with him. The rookie wide receiver, Jaden Reed, has been doing well. Love, as Tina Turner once sang, what's love got to do with this? Well, what's love got to do with this? You suck right now. I mean, that's all I can say. Just the inconsistency. The inconsistency. I went the exact opposite. I'm pulling for the Steelers. I like the Steelers. I'm not going to get leaving points on the board here. I took the Steelers minus the 150 on the money line. My true number was 3 with the 36.5 Pops. Now it's 38 with a 3.5. Again, first team to 20 or 21 wins this. And the real big key in this game, who wins the turnover battle? If Pickett throws 2 or 3 turnovers and Love goes turnover free, well, the Packers are going back to Lambeau with a win. I don't think Tomlin will allow it. Give me the Steelers just to win, baby.
All right. Because I just didn't like that effort last week. I felt like they got out of there on the skin, by the skin of their teeth, man. Seriously, like it was too much for a 3-day break. But Will Levis has kind of showed us that, you know what, I'm a little pissed off. You know what I mean? I'm a little pissed right now because you guys really did sleep on me. So it is what it is. But let's go ahead and jump into the Titans at the Bucks. Titans at the Bucks. I remember this game years ago. It was what was it, 2016 or something like that? Whenever Jameis Winston and Mariota came to the league, I remember they had a big game. And I remember this was one of my it was one of my funnest scores because they had the Titans as a 6.5 point dog that day. And they thought the Bucks were going to wreck shop on them. Dude, it was 21-0 before you could even blink with the Titans. That was one of the best plus 240s I ever got, one of the easiest plus 240s I ever got. So I always remember that Titans-Bucks game. So when I look at this one, I see that now we have ourselves a quarterback in Tennessee. So things have changed. Trevor Lawrence, I hate to tell you this, buddy, but you got company. Mike Vrabel is always at his best when he can have a quarterback that can go ahead and be great. And you know what? Will Levis was very close to beating the Steelers. He was super close to beating the Steelers. The defense did everything that they could possibly do. Will Levis was just a rookie against one of the best defenses in the NFL, and it showed. And he still was able to hang in there and put himself in position to help his team win that game. That's all you can ask for in that spot. And I think that we don't even have to sit up in here and say, well, if Tannehill's healthy, it doesn't matter if Tannehill's healthy. Go get him the clipboard. Will Levis is now your quarterback, and we all know this. And so Malik Willis, Ryan Tannehill, thank you for coming out, but you guys are holding clipboards until further notice. So let's just go ahead, and you guys, if you need another fantasy quarterback, there it goes, Will Levis. And Will Levis is now reignited Hopkins, who was a top 5 receiver in the NFL. He's going to the Hall of Fame. We know this. Treylon Burks, we don't know if he's going to be healthy this week because he went out with a very serious concussion. So there's some things that we look at and we tell ourselves that this game looks like it's a really toss-up. But you know what? The way that the Buccaneers are playing football right now, you can't trust them. You just can't. Baker Mayfield is still a great leader. I'm going to give Baker his props on being a leader. But the thing is, Baker's not a finisher. And, well, last week he finished, but the defense didn't finish for him. And that was the biggest problem. And so it's really just – it's hard, Jeff. It's hard with the Buccaneers. You want to say, okay, give me the Bucs, because it looks like Bucs when you look at when you look at everything that sets up for the game. It looks like the Bucs, So my thing is like, nah, we can't do the Bucs because the Bucs have been messing the money up for the last few weeks. We're not going there today. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take the Titans because the Titans seem like they've been sparked up and they're ready to put themselves in the race. They're 3-5. They get a good win here. They're back in the race. They're back in the mix of things, and we go from there. I'm taking them with the minus 105. I think they win this game by 3 points or more.
We haven't really dove into the quarterback carousel, who's playing, who's not playing. And what I really like with Mike Vrabel is he's making it clear. You're showing out very well, okay? But let's just pump the brakes. And he made it clear again after Sunday's performance. We'll see where Tannehill is. In other words, just to slow the kid down. It's like, a horse that wins 2 races in a row and you're ready to sign him up for the Breeders' Cup Classic. And he hasn't even gone through the 2 turns or whatever. So I bought the half point. I took the Titans to 2 turnovers. Baker Mayfield, Will Levis. I think probably the best prop of the day will be each quarterback to throw at least 1 interception. Hats off to Baker. He's kept the Bucs relevant, and Levis has now given the Titans a little spark. We talked about Mike Vrabel maybe coming to New England. That would be great, but that's a long, long way away. Give me the Titans +2. I had a 39 with a 1. Right now at Circa, it's 38 and a 1. It's same old scenario, Pops. First 1 to 20 probably wins this game.
And you know what? Our numbers were locked in the same exact way. Me and the odds makers on the line, I had a minus 1.5 as well, too. So, they see the same thing I see. I had it at 45 points on the over-under. I know that sounds a little crazy, but I expect them to score in this game. So I'm just pretty much saying take that over 38 as well, too. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. All right, we got the 49ers. 5-3, headed to Jacksonville against the Jaguars, 6-2. The Jaguars, unfamiliar +3 doggy dog at his house, and the over/under of 45. A team that's coming in on a 3-game losing streak got to be one of the best teams in the NFL to still be a favorite against a team that's won their last 5 in a row. Okay, the Jaguars have not lost since September. All right. And nobody's talking about this. Nobody's making it the lead story on TV, any of that stuff. But we do know that Jacksonville and San Francisco are absolute Siamese twins. They truly are. It's almost you're looking at identical teams. You got a great defenses for both squads. You got 2 great game managers, but T. Law is more of an MVP type of guy. He can take it to other levels that Brock Purdy can't. And then when you look at the way that they size up with the playmakers, they got playmakers that equal at each spot. They got a great running game in E10 on the Jaguar side. They got a great running game with McCaffrey on San Francisco side. When it comes to the tight end game, you got Kittle with San Francisco. You got Ingram on Jacksonville. And then when you line up the receivers, guess what? Jacksonville does dominate in that category because Ridley and Kirk are one of the more underrated duos in the NFL right now as well, too. People do not talk about that group enough. So pretty much San Francisco does have a tough one on their hands, but this might be the toughest game that the Jaguars have played in the last 8 weeks as well, too. So when I look at this one and I set it up, I truly do say to myself that San Francisco needed that week off. They needed to get back to the basics. They needed to adjust. They needed to be humble. That's exactly what happened for San Francisco because they were playing on too high of a level, Jeff. That's what it is sometimes. Sometimes you're playing so damn good that when you get brought back down to be humble again, you got to get humbled some more and some more before you really get the damn point. And that's what happened in San Francisco. San Francisco got comfy. San Francisco was shorthanded as well, too. Now we see that Deebo Samuel is a little bit more important to this offense than Christian McCaffrey. Let's keep it real. Because they didn't have Deebo the last few weeks, they got 3 losses in a row. I think that if they would have had Deebo and no Christian, they would have probably wound up winning at least 2 out of 3 of those games, in my opinion. But we can all say this, that the Cleveland game was on the kicker, okay? The other two, they're on their own. But all in all, though, San Francisco bounces back, and they bounce back with ease as well, too, Jeff. I think that everybody's going to really run to the window and say, Jags are the play. Jags are the play. And they're going to go ahead and be mad when they're down 2 or more touchdowns with no idea of coming back into that game. So I'm taking them. And you know what? The Jags just haven't looked good against the NFL elite. The only game that they played against an elite team was the Chiefs. The Chiefs didn't even need to score. They just beat them 19-7. So this is easy for me. I'm taking the Niners minus 165. They know exactly what they're doing here. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. Jeff, what are your thoughts and what is on your mind for this one?
2 great teams. The Jags were jump-started with a win before they headed over to London in a 2-game series in London where they won both, came back home and won. Then they go out on a Thursday night and shock the world and beat the Saints. And now they're coming back home to a San Francisco team that will be adding their new shiny toy, Mr. Chase Young. They'll have Deebo back. They'll be coming off the bye week. Vegas, very smart on their line here. They're not getting burnt by anyone jumping in on Sam Franning. I think there'll be some late money coming in on the Jags, but I followed your lead. I didn't want to get caught with any, 24-23 or any backdoor cover. I took the 49ers money line myself, minus the 165. I think the last 10 days, it's very simple. How does Shanahan win games? Very simply by controlling the ball, by running the ball, good, stout defense. And then the quarterback, just don't make any mistakes. And I remember, I think it was last year, Pops, Dallas came in here 3-point favorites and had a big lead and choked it away and then lost in overtime. I don't expect San Fran to do that. This is the game they need to start the second half run like the Bengals are on right now. So give me Purdy, give me CMC, give me Deebo, Ayuk, and company. Give me this San Francisco 49ers money line minus 165.
All right. I like it. I like it a lot. So let's go ahead and we move forward from there. Let's go ahead and get into what we know, which is probably pretty much the game of the week, and at least the early morning game. That's going to be the Browns and the Ravens. The Browns coming in here 5-3, Ravens 7-2. You got 2 of the best defenses, yardage wise, to go against each other during the season in all of NFL history. You know what I mean? You got two teams that have premier quarterbacks that are two of the most paid quarterbacks in the NFL. And then you have a team in the Ravens who have just pretty much went ahead and turned their home field into a house of horrors for everybody that comes in there, except for the old Baltimore team. I think that was more of a curse situation right there. I think that was more about the coach just coming back and just confirming who still runs Baltimore, with that 22-19 upset that they had earlier this year. But after that, you haven't seen this Ravens team slack a minute. You really haven't. Ever since that game, they've had a loss in the process, but it was Pittsburgh and Pittsburgh, dog. You know what I mean? It happens. But dude, other than that, the other 7 games that they played, they've been absolutely dominant. They've just been absolutely crushing. When you say dominant, you have to look at points against and points for. And when you look at points against and points for, it's leagues ahead of these teams that they've done this year. This is just it's incredible because it looks just like a Ravens team that we saw about a decade ago go to New Orleans and win a Super Bowl against the San Francisco 49ers. And they were kind of in the same situation. Very tough, a very tough NFC North that sent 3 teams to the playoffs as well, too. And I think they had to beat 2 of them to get there. I think they had to beat both Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. I know they had to beat Pittsburgh in the conference championship game, one of the best that we've ever had. Also, they had to beat a very good Denver team that year as well, too. So, this Baltimore squad has been nothing but success the last every year since have had Harbaugh. We talk about Tomlin so highly, but we need to talk more about John Harbaugh as well, too. Everybody's always talking about bringing his brother. What's it going to take to bring him to another franchise? You know what I mean? Because I'd rather take him any day of the week over Jim's old messy ass. You know what I mean? Jim go come up in here with 15 different scandals, dog. And I think that I know we'll talk about it on another show, but if I heard from NFL guys that he's not their cup of tea, and we just had the Josh McDaniels situation and everything like that. So but we'll save that for another day. But all in all, the Browns won a game that was pretty much what we call at the track a square, Jeff. That's just like the best horse going against 4 little dogs that they brought from the back. You know what I mean? That's it. The Browns was just in a allowance optional claimer. Race A, you know what I mean? Ain't nobody here. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody worried about the Cardinals. They knew what was up. The Browns could have put their B team out there and beat the Cardinals the way that game went Sunday. But Baltimore, they had a real game, Jeff. They had to go against the Seattle Seahawks, one of the better teams in the NFL, who just beat Cleveland the week before. They didn't beat them down. Cleveland literally beat them most of the game, but still, they beat Cleveland. They come back. They're the placeholder now in the West because we all know the West is San Francisco's division to lose at the end of the day. Seattle being in first place was never a threat. So, them going in there last week and laying the egg that they did and the way Baltimore just absolutely dominated them from pillar to post, you just your eyes get big and say, damn, they're not beating up on bad teams. They're destroying some of the best teams in the NFL. And that's the second NFC team that's in a high place that they pretty much sit home with their tail in between their legs. So, this team is dangerous. They're very serious, but this game right here is the letdown, Jeff. I'm taking the Browns with the +6 because I feel like what happens here is that the Browns get into this game. They play it smarter than they did in Cleveland. There was a lot of excitement that day. There was a lot of expectations that day because they thought DRT was going to be able to just step in and become, the next coming of Cam Newton or Bernie Kosar or something, and it didn't happen. So, now you got your $230 million guaranteed man back here, the guy who's supposed to be playing against the Ravens in big games like this. Give me the Browns +6 because this game is coming down to the final possession, Jeff, and it's whoever's kicker's on the field at the end. That's how I'm looking at this one. Your thoughts?
Great game. My true numbers here was 3.5 with a 38. Now 6 with a 37.5. Defenses will travel, and this Browns defense has been phenomenal. Deshaun Watson comes back, has a decent game. On the flip side, the Ravens are just cooking with Crisco, and they are just steamrolling teams. I've been talking for a long, long time that look out for this team, and it's good to see on some national shows that they are considered the number one ranked team in the NFL currently right now. Again, we still got 2 months before the playoffs, but Lamar, the addition of Zay Flowers, a healthy Mark Andrews, OBJ filling in here and there, the defense second to none. I'm still disappointed at the trade deadline. They didn't get Sweat or Chase Young there, but that's okay. I think it's a little overpriced, and the fact that they got to host the Bengals could be a little peak for next Thursday. So I grabbed the points. I bought the hook as well. I get the Browns up to 6.5 in case it lands on 6. 37. I'm going to go, your classic 23-20, maybe 21-20, 21-17. But I think the Ravens will eke it out. Wouldn't be shocked, by the way, if the Browns found a way and upset them. Would not be shocked. But I think that the Browns cover and the Ravens will find a way to win.
And that's what it really looks like, you know what I mean? Because the Browns are a team that you kind of know when they're going to win and you kind of know when they're going to lose. And this is one of those weeks where you say, yeah, I think they're probably going to lose this game. You know what I mean? Because, it's just how the team is set up. But let's both keep it real. We know that this team is if you put them in the other NFC portion of the North, they're running away with that division. The only team they would have to deal with is the Lions. That's it. You know what I mean? So, it's great to be in this tough division because we know that it's guaranteed 3 are going to the playoffs. Let's keep it real. I think we're getting 3 in from the North, and that's really what we have to look at. And, the Browns just don't want to be on the outside looking in because when you really look at it, you say to yourself, if anybody gets left out, it's probably them, even though they probably do have a better offense than the Steelers. The Steelers slightly have a better defense because TJ. You know what I mean? Even though the Browns got guys. You know what I mean? But TJ is just so overwhelming. That's the whole thing. And he can put Pittsburgh over the top. Pittsburgh knows how to win games in December. The Browns don't. That's the difference. So we'll see how it goes. But with that, we're going to go ahead and take our next break. And when we get back, we will be getting into the late game. So you guys stay tuned. This is the NFL Bet Exchange with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, Mr. Jeff Dawson.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash, and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
Biopsy.
All right. So
I was just on the phone with the kid because we're trying to figure out what.
all right, Jeff is coming back in a second.
I'm back.
All right. I had to mute that real quick too, so the audience wouldn't hear your conversation.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's go ahead and jump into it. We got ourselves the afternoon games, the afternoon late games. We got 4 of them, Jeff. So Sunday late games. First one that we have here, it's going to be a birdie party. party. It's going to be the Dirty Birds versus the Bird Gang. Falcons 4-5, Cards 1-8. And it's funny, 2 weeks ago the Cardinals were celebrating in Tampa Bay, first place in the NFC South. Things looked like they were on the up and up. Desmond Ridder got pulled out the game, so everybody got really excited about what's going to happen next for this team. Bringing Taylor Heineke, to get us back to to lead us for the rest of the year. I think that they'll be going back to Desmond Ridder fairly soon, Jeff, to be honest with you. Desmond Ridder is a guy that I feel like is going to give you a way better chance to win than Heineke. Heineke's already proven us that he's not that good of a quarterback. He's okay. He has moments, but Desmond Ridder isn't that great, but I prefer him over Heineke, to be honest with you, because he does present an element of a guy that's really trying. And I don't think he would have lost this game against Minnesota. The guy plays much, much better at home. But I know the coach wanted to teach him a lesson because he can't stand upright. Guy got sacked 6 times in the first quarter. So for now, we're just going to take a little break off. I understand that part. But all in all, Falcons, I feel bad for you because somebody's coming back to the league Sunday who's been out for some time now. And we know the havoc he caused a few years ago. And we know how he's one of Jeff's favorite fantasy guys as well, too, because he's taken care of Jeff pretty much every single season he's been healthy as well, too. And none other than the man himself, the Heisman Trophy winner, number 1 pick in the draft, and he was seen as the next big thing in the NFL before his coach tattletaled on him about the playbook. So other than that, Kyler Murray will be back in the house on Sunday, and you know what? He's going to go ahead and hand the Cardinals their second win of the season. I'm taking them straight up on the minus 110. When you can't get no value on the Cardinals, you got to just bet them, Jeff. When you can't get your plus, you got to bet them.
Something smells here though, because I get the fact that here come the Dirty Birds 4-5 versus a one-win team. I thought there'd be more of a tick with the return of Murray. My true number initially was Atlanta favored by 3 with a 41.5. It's now 1.5 at Circa with a 43. I too took the bump. I took the Cards plus the 2 minus the 120. We bought the hook. What, for fantasy purposes alone, listen, no one thought Bijan Robinson was a generational running back. Like Kyle Pitts is supposed to be a generational tight end. And what they're doing to Bijan is just mind-boggling. He's had like 1 touch inside the red zone in the last bazillion years. They bring in Algier, they'll bring in Cordarrelle Robinson. I mean, anyone but Bijan. They're just trying to out-trick themselves. In comes Heineke, as you said. Here comes what we needed. Well, what they need is a win to stop the bleeding, to get back to 500, to keep their false playoff hopes alive. I think the little engine that could Kyler Murray will jumpstart the Cardinals probably to their last win of the year. Give me the Cardinals plus 2. I think that they're going to sneak out a win outright here. It's going to be interesting. This is not home cooking, a perfect spot though for Bijan owners, not to just get 1 touchdown, but to get a couple touchdowns. So for fantasy purposes, I think Bijan has a big day. But for what we're here for, give me the Cards plus 2 pops.
All right. You know what? I think it's gonna be one of the more high scoring games of the season. Let's just say that. Because I think that you got good playmakers left and right all over the field, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. What are we playing for? Well, the Falcons are still playing for a playoff spot. What are the Cardinals playing for? Keep it real.
A draft
at the end of the day, Cardinals are playing it smart. You know that they're eyeing linemen. You know that. They're not saying, "Oh, let's go get Caleb Williams." They're not even in the Caleb Williams market right now. But we know that there's other teams in the Caleb Williams market right now, like the Giants, you know what I mean, and the Pats. But I think that they're all going to be chasing Drake May, dude. To be honest with you, but we'll have draft talk sooner rather than later. Lions 6-2, Chargers 4-4, plus 1.5, and I called it, Jeff. I knew it was going to happen, that they were going to make the Lions favorite on the West Coast against a team that's just won 2 in a row and have won these games by more than 20 points, and they've done it on prime time as well too. I'm just going to say this because I'm going to let you kick this one off. The Chargers are the gift and the curse of the NFL, because how can you be that damn gifted and that damn cursed at the same time? It's mind-boggling that this team can lose 2 in a row and you know they're going to win 2 in a row. Then they lose 2 in a row and you know they're going to win 2 in a row. They win, then they lose. They win, then they lose. They'll win 3 in a row, then lose 3 in a row. This is the Chargers. This is them. And by far, they are the best idea in all of football. You have an idea that they could possibly get to a Super Bowl. Then you have an idea that they could possibly miss the playoffs. It's just the best idea in all of football. Seriously, like, I don't know. But Jeff, go ahead. Let us know who you got winning this game and your thoughts on it as well, too.
I mean, Vegas is very coy, very cute. I mean, we saw the Chargers dismantle the Jets. It wasn't pretty. I mean, for fantasy purposes, I don't even think Justin Herbert got double digits in points. I mean, Eckler scores 2 touchdowns. The defense scores. Again, Joshua Palmer on the IR. Here's the number 1 first-round draft pick, Quentin Johnson, chance to shine. He is not. He reminds me of N'Keal Harry, Pops. But that's for another show there. I really think the Lions, my number was 1.5 for the 49. Right now it's 2.5 for the 48.5. The key to success for Chargers is you got to keep Aiden Hutchinson out of the backfield. You're going to have to establish Eckler. You're going to have to play defense, something that they've struggled the whole time with, again, against decent quarterbacks. I said this is a preseason. This is a playoff team. I believe in Herbert. He can make all the throws. Listen, I'm probably on the wrong side here, but I'm going to take the Chargers plus the 2. We bought the hook. I think the Chargers win to get to 5-4. Wouldn't be shocked if the Lions come in and just dismantle them. And as you said, win 2, lose 2, win 2, lose 2. Well, they're supposed to lose here. Short week, big team in front of them. Give me the Chargers, but I think I'm probably on the wrong side here, Pops.
All right. So, I know the Lions have became the America's team. I know I gave them that title a few weeks back when they won the first week of the season against your beloved Chiefs. But, I always say that, a team like Detroit, they really are the essence of America. And I think by them being good again, the NFL is a great place again. You know what I mean? There's nobody's complaining. You know what I mean? Nobody's complaining about Detroit this year, which is beautiful. There's no Detroit jokes this year. I feel like it's 1993 all over again, Jeff, where, Detroit's just normal. They're just in the group. You know what I mean? They're just not this abysmal franchise that we've came to know the last 20 years. You know what I mean? So that's a great story. It's a great Hallmark story. Everything's all good and well. They got a lot of lovable people there. But you know what? Jared Goff was supposed to be the builder of SoFi. It was supposed to be Jared Goff's house. You know what I mean? And then Sean McVay quit on him quickly. You know what I mean? It turned back into Sean McVay's playground. He couldn't let Jared Goff be the end all be all of SoFi. You know what I mean? And now it's Justin Herbert's house. And Justin Herbert's going to have to show that it's Justin Herbert's house. And the Chargers aren't just going to cover. They're going to absolutely beat the brakes off the Lions come Sunday. I love this game. Plus 100. Lions, who have you played? That's my biggest question. Who have you played? And then we threw out who have you played, and that was the Ravens, and the Ravens had their way with you. And same thing goes for Seattle. Was able to beat you up as well too. Even though you got to take them in the overtime, they dropped 38 on you. When I think about Seattle and I think about Seattle and I think about Baltimore, I think about San Diego and the way San Diego's rolled these last few weeks. Their front seven, they don't say enough. They only talk Bosa Mac, but they got Fox and Tui, and those boys can rush the passer as well too. They got one of the best front sevens in all of football. Derwin James, Ronnie Lott, when he's focused, man, I'm telling you, they are going to cruise in this one. Give me that even money, Jeff. Give me that even money because there's no way the Chargers should be the dog here. I'm sorry. I'm just sorry. They just shouldn't be. But we know the Chargers, they are always going to have spreads that say 3.5, 2.5, 1.5 because you don't know who's coming to the park on Sunday. All right, so with that, we move forward. Let's go ahead and jump into our next one, which is going to be the Giants and the Cowboys. The Giants. You know what? The Giants are throwing up the white flag. Let's keep it real. They know that they're going to struggle. We will not see Tyrod Taylor for the rest of the year. Let's just keep it real. Daniel Jones gone for the year. They should have waited a week with him. You know, I really feel like they should have waited a week. Should have waited for the Cowboys game. He's gone. So what do we have? We got Saquon Barkley stuck. And Saquon's agents are going to have a field day with this front office, you know, at the end of the day, because it don't matter who the quarterback is. You always got a chance with Saquon. You know what I mean? Don't matter who your quarterback is. But when you throw DeVito out there, you have no chance. DeVito didn't even give you a good chance at Syracuse. So, you know, this one's not even a real talking point for me, Jeff, because I know what the Giants are right now. The Giants are a team that is not playing to the expectations that they bestowed upon themselves. The Cowboys are a team that really are their worst enemy. The Cowboys really have beat themselves in these 3 games. You know what I mean? Last week, you just say to yourself, how the hell do you lose that game? And then you ask again, how the hell do you lose that game? You know, and at the end of the day, I hate to say this, and I know Jeff is going to roll his eyes at me when I say this. Cowboys are better than the Eagles. They just made a lot of mistakes last week. Eagles, I'm sorry, bro. You do not want to see this team in the playoffs because Jalen's not going to be that great in the playoffs. I can feel it now, Jeff. And the team you really don't want to play in the playoffs is the Cowboys because they'll take all advantage of that. So I truly feel that the Cowboys probably won't lose but one more game this year. And I'm taking them to absolutely wreck the Giants because the Giants don't get my bet no more. Jeff, I don't care what the spread is. They don't get my bet no more against the Cowboys until they show me that they're willing to actually compete against the Cowboys. Last time we had a game, it was 40-0, brother. 40-0. And they beat the whole New York tri-state area this year. I think, what is it now, Jeff? 80-10. So, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and take the Cowboys here. What are your thoughts, and who do you have covering in this game? Because, you know, it's really about a cover. It's not about who's going to win the game, who's going to cover in the game.
2 breaking newses for you here. Mike Vrabel has named Will Levis as the starting quarterback with Tannehill backing up. And breaking news in your neck of the woods, Carson Wentz has signed with the L.A. Rams. So that probably leads us to believe, obviously, that maybe Brett Ripien will start one more week. Maybe Stafford goes to the IR, maybe done for the year, but Carson Wentz heading to the Rams. When I sent you the email last night, I apologize. I left this one off. There it is right there. Giants plus 17, minus 120. I go back to a game similar to this a handful of weeks ago, and we both were jumped on the big favorite. And then the following Tuesday, we're like, it's a divisional game. You're supposed to just take the points. They're going to play grab ass. Yes, Danny DeVito, Tom DeVito, whatever DeVito, he stinks. Waller on the IR. They're actually, only one win ahead of the number 1 pick, where, again, maybe Daniel Jones has seen his last games in Dallas, in New York, and they are in the Caleb or Drake May or Penix or whatever they decide. So I get the 17 points here. I start the game up 17-0. Probably by halftime, I'll be down 27-0. But this one has 27-10, 28-10, something like that. I hope the 17 is enough. It's not, but give me the Giants plus 17.
All right. So there it is. That's going to be the Giants for Jeff plus 17. And that's where we're going to go with that. We move forward. Let's go ahead and jump into our next, which is going to be the Commanders and the Seahawks. The Commanders coming in here 4-5, Seahawks 5-3. And you know what, Jeff? I'm going to just keep saying it. Geno Smith is not a starting quarterback in the league. I say it every single week, but last week was proof in the pudding that literally you just wasted a whole game. DK Metcalf, 1 catch, 50 yards. I've looked at DK's stats this year. If I was DK's agent, I would really want to wring Geno Smith's neck because I'm not getting any incentives this year. I'm not getting any money this year. You had one 100-yard game this year. You probably had one game where you caught more than 6 passes. So it's just, how do you not use DK Metcalf? That's just my biggest question. Then you're wasting Jackson Smith and Najee as well, too, who actually won the game for you against Cleveland. But, for some odd reason, we just didn't have plays drawn up for him. But you know what? The Ravens defense was just ice cold, and they just were not budging on being a bad defense on Sunday. They were making sure that they did everything superior. And, Geno Smith just couldn't adjust. And when you're a backup quarterback in this league, that's what usually happens. You know what I mean? I know we all love Geno because he had his little moment a year ago, and, it looked good. Doug Williams, blah, 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 blah. But you know what? There's plenty of film out on how to stop Geno Smith, okay? Geno Smith is really holding up the Seattle Seahawks from being one of the best teams in the league, in my opinion. I just really don't know how Pete Carroll hasn't really went to Drew Lock yet. I just don't understand. He went to Drew Lock for one play, and I got so excited. And then Geno rolls his ass back out there. I said, come on, Pete, let the guy take the job. Damn. You know what I mean? But all in all, Sam MF Howell, brother. 2 weeks in a row, 3 over 70. Sam Howell really is regretting that he listened to Mac Brown and stuck around and missed out on that good first-round money because he's a first-round quarterback. It's just that Washington is a team that's really stuck in their own way. They need a running game. They don't have it. Sam Howell is showing that he can still carry this team throwing the ball 45 to 50 times a game. But all in all, I feel like the Commanders really got sparked by that conversation that their defensive leader had a few weeks back about coming up short in games, losing games, all that stuff. And that sparked this team when they went to New England last week. And I think that momentum is gonna actually move into this week as well, too. So for my big dog of the week, ruff, ruff, the Rottweiler, the big German Shepherd, give me the Commanders plus 210.
I like where your eyes are. Again, I'm a huge Sam Howell fan. I'm a big McLaren fan. Hats off to the reemergence of Jahan Dotson, Logan Thomas stepping in. They traded away their defense. They traded away Mr. Sweat. They traded away Chase Young, almost to the point where they're saying, hey, guys, the most sacked quarterback, you're going to be on the field even longer because teams are going to score on us a lot quicker. Great win in Foxborough on Sunday to beat the Patriots. My true number 6 with a 44.5, now 45.5 with a flat 6. We bought the hook here, Pops. Actually, no, we didn't. Yeah, we got Seahawks -6 here. I think it'll be a fun first half. I think probably this has the potential to be the highest scoring game of the week. I got about a 30-20 on this one. I think that the Seahawks win by 7 or more. The 12th man comes into play late. And so give me the Seahawks -6, Pops.
I got you. You know what? I'm just thinking about what Washington did in week 2 in Denver. Nobody saw that coming. Nobody was worried about Washington going into that game. And then Washington comes out of that game the winner. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where my angle is coming from. That, Washington likes being out on the West Coast, and this is a game that most aren't really looking at them to win. And if anybody's gonna get surprised, it's Seattle. They always do. We know that. But man, I remember Legion of Boom heydays though, Jeff, and you can agree, you can attest to this, brother. You know that when you went to Seattle, when Legion of Boom was there, just go ahead and mark that one down. That's my bet of the day. Put the house on it. We're going to go ahead and cover this one by 21 or better. That was them every single week, seemed like, when they were at home. So those days are long gone, but it is what it is. But at one point in time, you would go to Seattle and you knew that you were going to be able to cash that ticket with Seattle. It did not matter. Even if they got down in the game, they're going to figure out a way to win that game. So let's go ahead and jump into these final games. We got Sunday Night Football here. We got the Jets and the Raiders, and this has always been an NBC darling of a game. We know that, the Heidi Bowl, the Heidi Bowl. And hopefully they won't interrupt it with the movie this year, because they don't show movies after the game anymore. They actually show post-game sports shows now. So, those guys can always wait. So, you know how it goes. But all in all, with this one, Jeff, you know what? And I know you're going to be like, y'all, and this, that, and the third. The Raiders, to me, right now, if you're a Raider fan, it's hard to really, sit next to them right now, because I don't like anything that's going on with this team. I don't even care that they made that move with Josh McDaniels, because at the end of the day, you still have that sorry ass owner. You know what I mean? And you're too busy trying to appease fans and trying to appease people that don't even buy season tickets anymore. And you're trying to appease people that, pretty much are your fake friends and all this other stuff. And then, you're not doing anything the Raider way. You're doing everything Hollywood now. And it's just the Raiders aren't the Raiders anymore. This is just a Las Vegas review show. That's it. And, we got the coach. I'm from Compton, blah, 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 blah. Bro, you coached Long Beach Poly and they missed the playoffs, dog. I don't trust you. That's a high school team, Jeff. Long Beach Poly is like the essence of high school football in Southern California, in California. And you couldn't get them to the playoffs, and you think that you're going to be able to coach an NFL team up to a playoff spot? Get out of here. Just get out, And then, his reactions are like a player. You know what I mean? So I just looked at it and I said, the Raiders are a team that's being ran by players right now. And that does not bode success to me. That just bodes everybody being happy. You know what I mean? Everybody gets a piece of everybody gets their way, so everybody can like Mark more. And I don't like that. I think that you got to have an iron fist, because there were guys that aren't accountable. And so now we're going to play football. When you fire the coach, you're going to play good football. You're not going to be a stupid ass bonehead anymore. You're not going to be dumb anymore. No, you're still going to be stupid. You just got another coach now. The Raiders, you didn't fix the IQ of the Raiders. You know what I mean? And you got players coming in there complaining about Josh McDaniels, and you should have cut their ass on Tuesday, because they haven't been doing shit all season. Okay, Mark. So, at the end of the day, you got the worst owner in the NFL. You got a joke of a coach, and you got a joke of of players who really don't care. They're all in the locker room smoking cigars and everything, treating the game like it was a Super Bowl, Jeff. Dude, you beat the Giants, dog. The Giants. Who the fuck are the Giants, Jeff? Seriously. They're 2-7. They didn't even care after the second quarter. As soon as Jones went out, they just said, fuck it. We're all at Dre's later on tonight anyway. Hey, they don't care. So you beat a team that doesn't care. But the Jets care. So with that rant and all that stuff I just said, Jeff, I'm still going to go ahead and take the Raiders, because they're at home. And they should win the game. This will probably be their last win of the season. So, it's a party. Jeff, you got to get into the party. Then the Raiders will fuck with your head, make it look like they're going to do something real, and then they'll fucking lose the next 6 in a row. That's the Raiders for you. That's the Mark Davis way for you right there. Putting a Band-Aid on a broken radiator. So it is what it is. Jeff, go ahead.
I have to follow the Vegas, meaning the sports book lead here, meaning they got me with the banana in the tailpipe last week. I was on the Giants, and then we did the show last Tuesday. Well, obviously, the firing of the coach and then the return of Daniel Jones, the line didn't move. So I should have known right away. And then, of course, Daniel Jones goes out in the first quarter and the Raiders are smoking cigars in the locker room at the end of the game. Here, even after the Jets lose ugly to the Chargers, my true number was 2.5 for the 35.5. The public's doing what they do best, Pops. Remember what they saw last, and now it's down to 1.5, soon to be 1. I like the Jets here. I like the Jets to get back into the win column. I'm not leaving any points on the desk. I'm just taking the flat money line, minus 135. I think it's a big Breece Hall day. I think I'll even go on record here. He was stopped at the 1 yesterday at the last play of the offense for the Jets. I think Tyler Conklin gets into the end zone as well. Look for Garrett Wilson to have a big day. Look for the Jets defense to have a big day. I like them in this spot. Give me the Jets money line minus 135, Pops.
All right, Jeff taking the Jets minus 135. You know what I mean? Jets got to get their revenge this week too. I just took the Raiders because I was like, okay, Sunday Night Football. They're going to make it a good, nice review show, Tony Bennett style, crazy finish. Jets going to play some great defense. Then the Raiders going to mess around and have some stupid miracle play and kick a field goal at the end to win the game or something like that. Or the Jets just come in here and beat them 17-0, one or the other. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, this might be the best matchup the Jets defense has gotten the last few weeks. You're going against a quarterback that's below average. So, at the end of the day, this really does feed into the Jets a bit better. And this can be one of Zach Wilson's better games as a pro as well, too, if you look at it all in all. Because when you really look at the playmakers on the Jets side, they are much better than what the Raiders have. Yeah, Devontae, you eating too much Taco Bell, bud. So that's why you 4 catches, 34 yards. You know what I mean? Lay off the Mexican pizzas, bro. No Mexican pizzas before the game. All right, Jeff, last one. Monday Night Football, is it ready for a party? Nah, now they stole, I can feel it in the air, feel it. They took the Phil Collins. I said, you can't do Phil Collins songs without Phil Collins. Sorry, you just can't. You know what I mean? I'm just like, that's disrespectful, man. You know what I mean? That's like doing Soul Man without James Brown. You know what I mean? Come on, dude. All right, so here we are, Jeff. We got a really good game because you got a Broncos team that's won 2 in a row. They're confident again. You got a Bills team that is really, really going through the motions. But you know who Rob Parker is? He worked with Skip Bayless and them a lot, ESPN.
Yes. Well,
this buffoon pretty much said that the Bills season was over Sunday on NBC after the game, blah, 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 blah. And he had some of the stupidest takes that you've ever heard in your life. You know what I mean? He said that Tom Brady was overrated. Bill Belichick's not a Hall of Fame coach. All that stuff. He's a guy that I think he's a Dallas Cowboy person. So that's why he said stupid shit like that he does. So he said that the Bills are cooked right now. There's no chance of them making the playoffs, blah, 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 blah. I said, how can you say that about a team that's 5-4? And they're just looking outside the window of the playoffs. And you know that they're better than the Steelers. They could say they're better than the Browns. So let's not play that game because the AFC hasn't been settled yet. And they still can win their division because last time I checked, they got the win over Miami. And they kicked Miami's ass too. So that asinine comment was just just for, I guess, shock value, but not many people live in LA, so they didn't see that. So, I mean, that deal with the stuff that we do. So, not many people saw that afterwards. So I just have to defend the Bills in a sense to say that it ain't over yet for the Bills. The Bills are still a playoff team in the AFC, in my opinion. You know what I mean? And the Bills are still, as my man Trevor Denman would say at Santa Anita back in the day, they loom the danger. You know what I mean? Just because you lost a couple of allowance races don't mean that when I put you in the Santa Anita Derby, you ain't going to be able to win it. You still was 7-2. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you're not a 3-5 no more, but you were 7-2 for sure. And, at the end of the day, the Bills are going to send a message on Monday Night Football that they ain't done yet. Give me the Bills 7.5. They win this game by 10 or better, Jeff.
This is one of those spots where the Bills lose opening day, then they get back home, they put up 40 against the Raiders, then they go to Washington, put up 37, come back home to face Miami, put up 40, and then they head out to London where this turmoil has started. I stupidly bought the hook, took the Broncos to +8. This is probably a 2 or 3 pick night for Russell Wilson. Javonte Williams won't be able to start running the ball. And this is where the Bills probably will take out their demise the last few weeks on a hapless defense of the Broncos. My true number was 9 with the 46.5. I think the Bills put up 30 in their sleep. But I just hope some way backdoor Little Joe's open and a late Russell Wilson to Jerry Jeudy final score, 33-27, and I get lucky here, Pops. But we took the Broncos plus the 8, but this is a get-well spot for Bills Mafia.
And see Jeff just over here trying to coax his way in there with the smooth little 8 and shit. But you know what? At the end of the day, Jeff knows that that's where my first head was at as well too. But when I heard Ron say that dumb shit he said on Sunday, I said, you know what? I'm taking the Bills, double down on the Bills because that was stupid. You know what I mean? That was dumb, and they finna go kill them. And you know what? I totally like your Broncos play because the Broncos 2-game winning streak. They got the veteran coach. They got the veteran quarterback. And you know what? Nobody's picking them anymore. So that's when they're at their most dangerous. So, yeah, that's really a logical pick in a sense. And we know that if the Broncos weren't 3-5, it would be a different spread. It would be 4.5, 3.5, something of that nature. And, and I know another reason why you're kind of hezzy on the Bills as well, too. They've been so bad on national television. They just have not been good on national TV. Come on, the Giants game, they were losing that game pretty much all night long, and the Giants just handed the game because the ball just got stupid when it came to the half-a-yard mark to get into the end zone. You know what I mean? One time he wants to run, the next time he wants to throw. Knowing Saquon Barkley has been in this situation for you about 10, 12 times and has succeeded for you about 11. So, you just go ahead and go against your own thinking. So it happens. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. Any final thoughts, Jeff, before we wrap this thing up?
Another week down. Again, keep an eye on the alerts. Again, Levis starting. I don't think, obviously, Carson Wentz will be playing this week for the Rams. Keep an eye. Justin Fields limited practice. These lines could really, really shift by Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're doing the best that we can with the notes and with the data that we do have. So look for big weeks from both of us. Honored and blessed to be here as always, Pops. Looking forward to many, many, many more weeks.
All right. This is the NFL Bet Exchange. I'm your host, the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. You guys can catch the Primetime Angles at 1 p.m. this afternoon, and you guys can watch it on the YouTube as well, too. And Jeff has more shows, the Closing Bell, and all that good stuff happening later on today. So you guys make sure to catch that as well. And all of Jeff's shows during the week, you guys can wake up with Jeff every single day and get yourself that good breakfast bankroll and all that good stuff, and get your coffee and bagels and all that good stuff situated. And Jeff will get you right in that category as well, too. So all in all, it's been another great show. It's always a pleasure working with you, sir. And with that, this is the NFL Bet Exchange with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod himself, Mr. Jeff Dawson. And we are gone.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFL Bet Exchange, where the sharpest bets are laid. This show was produced by the Prime